Hey everyone, and welcome to GTO Charts. Today I'm going to be bringing you a PLO video called Playing Aces Pre-Flop and concentrating on cold calling and flatting 3-bets. And when we get aces in PLO, we're all excited, obviously, and it's sometimes not a good idea just to click the mash button and 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet, get it in. So let's go through a few scenarios and see where we can maybe slow down on those aces and take advantage of our opponents a bit better. A shout out to our sponsor, PLO Genius. I'm going to be using their excellent PLO Genius software to check out the pre-flop situations, and of course GTO Poker Charts, which is myself. So first of all, we will look at how we're going to set this up in PLO Genius, and we're going to just concentrate on PLO 4 cards, short-handed, not heads up, 100 big blinds, and low stakes. So that's what we are looking at, and let's move on to the first scenario that I want to have a look at, cold calling. So cold calling when someone's raised in front of you and you're next to act, and what should you do? Obviously you get aces, you want to 3-bet them, which is the right thing to do most of the time, but let's have a closer look. Okay, the first situation I'm going to have a look at is MP versus under the gun. Now, the orange here means that is your position. So we are in middle position and under the gun opens in front of us, and we wake up with ace, ace, XX. And we always want to, I know I always just want to obviously just 3-bet them straight away, but let's have a think about some other plays we could make. If we look at PLO Genius, it pretty much, you should hardly be folding anything. 4 aces and triple aces with really bad, well, not bad kickers, but rainbow, 4 ace rainbows is probably the hands you want to be folding straight off the bat. And then what we can call with, and it seems to be like 10%, and we're going to raise 90%. So that 10%, and we'll have a look, is going to be, seems like rainbow again, and ace, ace, 7-2, 8-2, 9-2, all those rainbowy hands with aces we can probably just call with. Let's have a little deeper look in PLO Genius itself. Okay, and here it is, and we have ace, ace in here. Doesn't matter if it's capitals or not, but let's put capitals in. Under the gun is raised, we're in middle position, and as the screenshot showed before, we're folding these triple aces and the quadruple aces, and we're going to call with ace, ace, 7-2, 8-2. So almost you could say all the rainbow combinations of aces, and sometimes even single suited like 7-2 off, 8-3, sorry, 8-3 suited, 7-2 suited, so on and so forth. But pretty much about 10%. Okay, now if we move on to the cutoff versus under the gun, it doesn't seem to change too much. It's 10.4% calling, folding similar hands, the triple ace combinations, and raising the same combination. So that's pretty close. So we won't go into that one in PLO Genius. So we'll move on to getting closer to the button, actually the button, and we're starting to get a little bit wider and not folding as much, really just folding 4 aces, triple ace with a 2 or a 3. So you could almost say not never folding anything. On the rare occasion, it could be even be argued that you could probably play these sometimes, not sure. And so I won't go into that. Let's just move on to the next one. I won't go into it, meaning it's a similar calling and raising as you saw in the cutoff and middle position. So it gets a bit more interesting when we start looking at the small blind. We are raising less this time, 8.7, but folding a little bit more. So again, let's switch over to the PLO Genius and see exactly what hands we should be folding. Obviously the reason for folding more is that we're going to be playing the hand out of position, which is not always a good thing, as you know. So here we are in PLO Genius. Yeah, it seems to be the stuff for folding is like the triple ace stuff again. And if we go down further, that's as far as it goes. Even so the triple aces with rainbow and even triple aces single suit, they consider a fold from a small blind. And calling with these hands and raising these. Obviously all the double suited aces, you will never want to fold any of those, I would not think. And then let's move on to the button. Sorry, I meant to say let's move on to the big blind versus under the gun raise. Again, remember this is you in the big blind, under the gun is raised, you have ace, ace, XX, and interestingly there is a lot more calling going on. Less folding than out of the small blind. And again, the triple aces seem to be the hands that get folded mostly. And let's go and look a bit deeper at this 31% in PLO Genius. Okay, here we are, and there is our 31%, as we saw in the slide. And obviously ace, ace, rainbow are going to be a lot of the calling hands, but there's going to be a lot more in this if we go down way to the bottom. And even good stuff like triple suited ace, ace, 10-6 is a call. And again, I would hazard a guess that you would never ever fold, sorry, never call with any ace, ace double suited. Just to check that, we can actually put it in the filter here. We go ace, ace, and XX, Y, and that's correct. You're going to raise from the big blind 100% with any ace, ace double suited. Okay, so that's all pretty interesting. Now let's have a look at another situation when we have aces and we're 3-bet and we're in position. So in that scenario, we could be, let's just going to look at button versus big blind because there's too many scenarios to look at. Now, interestingly enough, when we plug it all into PLO Genius, it comes back with you never fold, or never even call, and we raise 100%. And it doesn't change, well, it changes when you get deeper. So I'll go to the next slide, and we'll go to PLO Genius in a moment. And this is at 150 big blinds. If you get 3-bet out of the big blind and you're on the button and you have ace, ace, fold your 4 aces, calling with 40% of hands, which is a huge difference to 100 big blinds. I would argue that at 100 big blinds, there is stuff you should probably call depending on your opponent. But let's go over to the PLO Genius and see if we can work out why this is. Okay, so firstly, we're just going to have to change the settings here. So just click on the top left corner, and instead of 100 big blinds, you choose 150. Now, for 100 big blinds, we do have the option of also going low stakes, mid stakes, and high stakes. But for 150, notice there's only high stakes. I'm sure that is going to change in the future, and there'll be more of a selection to choose from, but that seems fine. So let's choose that. And our scenario was button versus big blind, so we're on the button and the big blind 3 bets. So that folds, we're on the button, we raise it up, all blind folds, and big blind now throws in a 3 bet back to us on the button, and as you can see, it lines up with our slide. And I'm interested to see what sort of hands we should be calling with. Again, we fold the 4 aces, calling with hands like obviously the ace rainbow, but down the bottom. Let's get down the bottom-ish, and you know, even hands like ace. Seems like the single suited stuff, even with a high card, ace queen. High card is a call rather than 3 bet, and another reason is depending on who you're against. If the player in the big blind is 3 betting wide, then flatting aces is another good reason to do that. So there's a few reasons why you should flat aces, which I'll summarize at the end. Okay, we're back here on our PowerPoint slide, and we're going to move on to the next scenario, which is when you are 3 bet out of position and you have aces. And can you have a guess what the play is? It is almost always to 4 bet 100%. And the reason for this is I have here, so it's 4 bet 100% except these 4 aces, which occasionally pop up. I've had them a few times. So most of the power inflating the aces comes from positional advantage. If that doesn't exist, it makes more sense to push your equity advantage as soon as you can. Okay, so that makes a ton of sense to me. Okay, now we're going to look at the key takeaways. Unfortunately, I had a nice presentation here that made all these things come up individually, and when I videoed it, they just didn't seem to show. So I've just got it here, all the info straight in front of you from the get-go. Would have been better if it just came up one by one, but let's go with it anyway. So key takeaways, cold calling in position. So remember, we're talking about under the gun mostly. So when under the gun opens and we're in middle position and we have ace-ace, we should be cold calling about 10% of the time, and that starts to get wider the closer we get to the button, and when we're on the button, about 12% cold calling. And the type of hands are the ace-ace, rainbow hands are pretty much what you should be cold calling with. Now, when you get to out of position, meaning you're in the small blind, the big blind, and under the gun has opened and you have ace-ace, you start to cold call a bit wider. Small blind was about 8% from memory, but especially from the big blind, that's what you should take note of. You should be cold calling about 30% and start to throw in hands, even hands like ace-ace, king-9, single suited, and some of the triple suited stuff here. There's a lot more here, I'm just not showing it. Then we start to talk about versus 3 bets in position, and just pertaining to the scenario of button versus big blind. Now, interestingly enough, at 100 big blinds, the strategy is to 4 bet 100%. Now, the case could be made, depending on your opponent, to flat sometimes, especially if you're a maniac in the big blind who's been 3 betting you all day. Then we had a look at 150 big blind stacks, and it's flatting at 40%, the solver, which is interesting. So it's only 50 BB difference, but you definitely widen your flatting range there and include, I'd like to say, similar hands that you were cold calling out of position, but a little bit wider. And of course, finally we come to when you are 3-bet out of position. It's pretty easy play. We 4-bet 100% of the time, and the reason being is that most of the power in flatting aces comes from positional advantage. And if that doesn't exist, it makes more sense to push your equity advantage as soon as you can. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it, and don't forget to check out the links below. 20% off PLO Genius. Great product. It's only going to get better, so you get in early. If you get an annual subscription, you're locked in for all the upcoming updates, which will include post-flop. And it's, in my humble opinion, well, it's not only my opinion, but a lot of people's opinion, it's the cheapest PLO solver out there. It's only going to continue to get better. Get on board early. And hope you enjoyed it, as I said, and talk to you soon.